The VW Golf, one of the most successful cars in the world. Extraordinarily ordinary. But what's so special about it?
Nothing. There is nothing exceptional, but everything fits.
An iconic German car that's remained true to itself for 50 years.
I did it.
Spectacular.
Ein Golf in
A Golf
den
in its various
verschiedenen
generations was always
Generationen
recognizable
war
as a
immer
Golf.
als Golf erkennbar.
Man
You
wusste,
knew
was
what
man
you
hatte.
had. The Golf, the most successful German car of all time, appeals to young and old alike. It's found more than 35 million buyers worldwide, across all social classes.
Der Chefarzt
The senior doctor drove to the clinic in a Golf. The letter carrier drove one to work in the morning and then delivered his letters in another Golf. No matter your social class or your job, it's just a normal car.
Normales Auto.
The Golf has conquered the whole world, from Brazil to South Africa. In many places it's become part of the national culture and survived political upheaval.
During apartheid, it wasn't accessible to a lot of the oppressed. But then, after we got our freedom, it was accessible to anyone.
Volkswagen means a lot to Brazilian culture, especially the Golf models that we have here.
And what's next for the Golf? There's heated, divisive debate about that on its 50th birthday.
Diese Erfolgsgeschichte
The
jetzt
challenge now is to continue
weiterzuschreiben,
this success
das ist jetzt die
story.
Herausforderung.
Man muss
You
nicht
don't have to
immer alles
revolutionize
revolutionieren,
everything
wenn man
if
der
you think
Meinung
what's
ist, dass
there
das, was
isn't
da
that
ist,
bad.
eigentlich gar nicht so schlecht.
The Golf is in a way a symbol of the tragedy actually happening in the automotive industry.
People still love the shape and the size of the Golf. Whoever designed the Golf, they did a good job. It was a revolutionary car design.
And this revolutionary star designer comes from Italy. With Southern European flair, Giorgetto Giugiaro broke all conventions in the early 1970s to create a sensible, compact car.
La sua forma, l'architettura, il contesto
Its form,
tecnico,
architecture, and technical
economico e
and functional
funzionale.
framework
Quindi
are like the
è un
harmony of a
insieme
hit
di
song.
un qualcosa come un'armonia di una canzone che ha
They're
successo.
well-matched
Quindi
notes that
sono delle
create a
note
harmony
ben
when you put them
accoppiate,
together.
delle linee dell'insieme di un'armonia.
Giugiaro, who was voted designer of the century for creating unique and legendary vehicles for a wide variety of car makers, was commissioned by Volkswagen to develop a successor to the Beetle. And he made it radically different from the perennial bestseller. Angular instead of round, front instead of rear-wheel drive, water-cooled instead of air-cooled. The Golf was smaller than the Beetle on the outside, but much roomier on the inside.
Il tratto
The key feature of
fondamentale
the
della
Golf.
Golf.
I'll
Lo
show
faccio
you
vedere
here.
qui. È il
It's the
montante
sloping
parabrezza
A-pillar and the
con
sloping
il
hood,
cofano che scende
while the
e
belt
la
line
linea
is lower.
piantata che è più bassa. Sono aspetti
They
di
are the
queste
facets of
note
these
che
notes,
chi
like
compone
those used to
musica
compose music.
ha la
And they
sorpresa per gli altri
surprise
di
those who look at it
un'armonia
with a
che
harmony
viene
that's not
assimilata
perceived with the conscious
non con
mind.
coscienza di
People just feel it.
razionalità, la senti.
And people immediately felt the benefits of the car. VW soon launched the Golf GTI for drivers who liked it sporty. Since then, the Golf has consistently been the best-selling car in Germany, frequently in Europe, and in some years even worldwide.
Ja, ich glaube, dass der Golf
Yes,
es
I believe
tatsächlich
that the Golf
geschafft hat,
actually managed to bend
den
the zeitgeist
Zeitgeist
of the
der
industry
Branche
into sheet
in
metal.
Blech zu
A proven
biegen.
technology that
Eine
was very solid,
bewährte
that you could
Technologie,
rely
die sehr solide war, auf die man sich verlassen konnte.
The Golf is now in its 8th generation, a car that changed the industry and even established a new vehicle category, the Golf class. At its core, the Golf has not really changed in 50 years.
Es ist tatsächlich so, dass man es geschafft hat, den Golf sehr sachte, langsam, evolutionär zu verändern, so dass die neue Generation sehr an die alte Generation auch erinnert. Man hat die Kunden nicht verschreckt durch ein völlig neues Design.
Deswegen ist da eben auch eine sehr starke Kundenloyalität in Bezug auf dieses Auto da, weil man wusste, was man hatte.
The best overview of the car's development can be found in the world's largest private golf collection in the Austrian town of Stockerau. Josef User has brought together 114 Golfs, ranging from the most unusual, with sliding doors, to the fastest tuned GTI models. It's the Golf fan's life's work.
Der Golf deshalb, weil das erste Fahrzeug war, wo wirklich alles gepasst hat. Ich bin früher in der Jugend alle Marken, oder fast alle Marken gefahren. Golf war wirklich das Fahrzeug, wo man sich reingesetzt hat und es hat alles gepasst. Das perfekte Auto, ja, als wenn er für mich gebaut worden wäre.
Many Golf fans formed clubs to cultivate their passion. Only owners of the first model series from the 1970s gather at the meetings of one such group called Original Golf One. But people from all walks of life come together here.
Der Chefarzt ist mit dem Golf
the senior doctor drove to the clinic in a Golf. The letter carrier drove one to work in the morning and delivered his letters in another Golf. And the secretary in the factory drove a Golf.
Die Frau vom Chef hat dann als Privatwagen vielleicht auch einen Golf gehabt. Es ist ein klassenloses Auto. Unaufdringlich, zuverlässig, praktisch. Er bietet alles das, was man im Prinzip auch heute noch braucht, um von A nach B zu kommen.
There are even some Golf One owners who bought their cars in the former East Germany. In 1978, Volkswagen delivered 10,000 Golfs there in exchange for sheet metal, heating oil and tyres. It wasn't easy for people there to get their hands on a Golf. Reinhard Martinez got lucky because he'd registered with the authorities for an East German car long before. And so he was able to get a West German car that he could work on in his garden.
Ich habe damals bei der Interflug gearbeitet, hier als Prüfingenieur. Allerdings kein Genosse gewesen und demzufolge bin ich frohen Mutes ran. Ich dachte, an dieses Auto musst du ran. Und da habe ich dann natürlich meine älteste Anmeldung dafür hergegeben. 12 Jahre alt, für einen Lader.
Golfs were all the rage, not only in East Germany, but also in communist Yugoslavia. The foundations for the Golf enthusiasm in the Balkans were laid back in the 1970s and remain in place today. Back then, Volkswagen produced the first Golf models made in Sarajevo, today the Bosnian capital, as part of a joint venture.
Želja svakog prosječnog Jugoslavena je bila da ima Golfa. Za Golf se čekalo, ko je imao novac naravno u to vrijeme, za Golf se čekalo do 6 mjeseci na isporuku Golfa i ja sam imao sreću pa sam skupio nešto novca i kupio sam sebi Golfa jedincu i ispunio sam svoju želju. Posebno kao tad mlad čovjek, to je za mene bilo jedna velika stvar. Moja generacija će razumjeti o čemu ja pričam sad ovog trenutka.
Volkswagen's production facilities were largely destroyed in the Bosnian War between 1992 and 95. Golf production was discontinued, but people's enthusiasm for the German car has survived.
It's not anymore just car. It's emotion that Bosnian people and others hold in their hearts. It's emotions about wealthy years before war, about survival during the war, and after war. That was an opportunity for the people to feel themselves again like normal people, that we are again in that condition like before.
In South Africa too, the Golf has survived a change in political systems and is now part of the country's culture, a witness to history. It joined the long journey black population from the oppression of apartheid to the present day.
During apartheid, it wasn't accessible to a lot of the oppressed. Maybe it was still expensive to those ones, you see, who were oppressed. But then, after we got our freedom, I think it became accessible to almost everyone.
A very special Golf model was even built in South Africa, because the Golf 2, which replaced the one in 1984, was too complex and expensive for South Africa. The Golf 1 simply continued to be built there in a slightly modified form, under the name City Golf.
This is the car. My 2007 City Golf. It was a base model, and that's how it looks from inside. I can go outside and show you the outside as well. From the MK1 to the City Golf, this is how you differentiate them. This line here. So that's how you differentiate. The old MK1 doesn't have that line, but the City Golfs have that line.
So long, my friend. When production of the City Golf was finally discontinued in 2009, the whole country bid farewell to their favourite car with emotional outpourings.
Maybe I'm stepping in. I think it will never die. In South Africa, it will never die because there's people who look after them. It will live forever. I'm gonna save one for my son. He's still 2 years old, so he'll find it maybe when he's 18 or 21. Then if he's interested, he'll also have his own. But if he's not interested, I'll keep it for myself.
The Brazilians got a specially built model, the VW Golf, one of the country's most popular cars between 1980 and 2022. Although it had Audi 80 and VW Passat DNA, it came with body styles reminiscent of Polo and Golf.
Volkswagen means a lot to Brazilian culture, especially for the Gol models that we have here. They created Gol to be a cheaper car for families, for more simpler people, which is the base of Brazil, you know.
And even in France, people take their hats off to the Golf. A special exhibition at the Retromobile Classic Car Show in Paris commemorates the Golf's history. Probably the only foreign car that has ever managed to seriously compete with the French local favourites.
En voiture étrangère, cette Golf a vraiment marqué le français quand elle est arrivée. On était déjà dans une voiture un peu plus jeune. Les 2 chevaux, c'était la voiture du village, sympa, fun, mais pas dynamique du tout.
A Golf really is more than just a car. Golf stands for a way of life, almost a profession of faith.
Man lebt damit, also man identifiziert sich damit. Also irgendwo dieser Ausdruck Generation Golf, der stimmt schon.
After 50 long years, the days of the Golf look like they were numbered as Volkswagen prepares for a new age of mobility, electromobility, with the development of the ID model series. But don't count the Golf out just yet.
Also von der Produktstrategie gab es jetzt eben einen Wechsel bei Volkswagen. Der ID.3, also in der gleichen Klasse, Fahrzeugklasse wie der Golf positioniert, konnte an diesen Erfolg des Golf nicht anknüpfen. Und jetzt geht Volkswagen eben den anderen Weg und nimmt diese bekannten Leistungseigenschaften des Golfs und transformiert sie eben in die Elektromobilität. Und da geht es jetzt darum, eben auch an diese ikonische Geschichte anzuknüpfen und diese Erfolgsgeschichte aber auch mit einem Elektroauto weiterzuschreiben.
And this is what it could look like. The Golf 9 with electric drive, which will be launched at the earliest in 2026.
The Golf is in a way a symbol of the tragedy actually happening in the automotive industry. We are changing over to new engines, namely the electric engines. They are completely different parameters, and still the car maintains exactly the same shape as before. So when Beetle became Golf, changing the engine, it changed also the shape. Now 50 years after the first Golf, I believe we have to understand that the way we use cars has thoroughly changed. And so it's quite of a tragedy that VW says we'll keep the Golf forever. We buy the Golf because of the meaning of it. And in a new world, which is the one we are approaching, there should be new meanings.
Could it be time for Giorgetto Giugiaro to radically redesign VW's best-selling model? Doesn't VW need a little revolution every 50 years? Unlikely. The Italian now only works for Chinese car makers. He ended his collaboration with Volkswagen in 2015.
Il disegno non è democratico. Ho capito che io non potevo avere la libertà di proporre quello per cui ho accettato di entrare in questo grande gruppo. Non è coraggioso perché sono gli uomini che hanno responsabilità e non vogliono rischiare la propria poltrona.
They don't take risks. They do things more or less the same as ever in order to avoid risks because they don't have any vision.
Perché non c'è la capacità di vedere.
But vision is what led Giorgetto Giugiaro to create his milestones in automotive design.
Io ho vissuto, ho fatto carriera anche per la mia libertà assoluta, perché quando io ho fatto le prime vetture ho avuto una libertà incredibile.
The VW Golf, a symbol of freedom and creativity in car design, the car for everyone, which people, old and young, all over the world have embraced. That has become the flagship of the German automotive industry.